Do you use a or and before acronyms initialisms? 99% of the time, I'm clear on when I should use a versus and. There's one case, though, where people and references I respect disagree. Which of the following would you proceed with, a or an, and why? FAQ. Fubar. Scuba. Note, I've read the questions a historic or an historic and use of a versus an, but the rules given there don't necessarily apply here. Edited to add. Here's a shorter and hopefully clearer version of the question. In written English, which is correct and why a FAQ or an FAQ? Some references with differing opinions. And the UC San Diego Editorial Style Guide and Apple Publications Style Guide. The Microsoft Manual of Style for Tech Publications, 3E. Either the alt.us age.english FAQ and Yahoo Style Guide.
It depends on whether the abbreviation is an acronym or an initialism. As fubar and scuba are usually pronounced as a word, making them acronyms, it would make sense to say a fubar and a scuba diver. FAQ is a bit harder because I have heard people say it like an initialism, FAQ, while others pronounce it as an acronym/fake/. Therefore, one should write either a FAQ/fake/ or an FAQ, depending on how that person pronounces it, i.e., whether it is an acronym or an initialism.
Note, some of this information may be extraneous, but take it for what you will. In general, some acronyms represent nouns, others verbs or adjectives. If it represents the former, I see no problem with prefixing with an indefinite article a/an. Scuba is listed as a noun, lowercase, rather than an acronym in most dictionaries these days. It is of course derived from an acronym, but has evolved into a word in its own right. Laser would be another example. FAQ is an acronym, but is very commonly used as a noun, a list of frequently asked questions. Fubar has various definitions, but it's normally interpreted as an adjective, at least by the original military one. Hence, I would happily prefix scuba/scuba with a/an, but definitely not fubar. All these words begin with hard consonants, and thus should always be prefixed with a, saying that some people pronounce FAQ by spelling out its letters, in which case an is appropriate. I've never heard this done with the other two.
When used before an acronym, the rule is still valid, but which article to use depends from how the acronym is pronounced, letter by letter, or as a word. An MP3/MP/re/, an RPG/RPI/, an FBI agent/EF by AI/, a GPS device/IPES/, a NASA employee/NS/.
The important point to remember is the following. Written language is a representation of the spoken word. Thus, the answer is, if the word following the indefinite article begins with a vowel sound, use an. If it begins with a consonant sound, use a. In the case of initialisms and acronyms, use the exact rule above. For initialisms, e.g., us, the individual letters are pronounced. With what sound does the first pronounced letter begin? In the example, us, the first sound is J, or Y. This is a consonant sound, despite the letter U being a vowel. Thus, you use a, as in Aristotle. Contrast this with the initialism RPM, which begins with the consonant a, but is pronounced starting with bay. Thus, you use an, as in an RPM counter.
If you want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.